The question, should Rupert Murdoch be forced to give back the profits that he's made over the last decade while he and his corporations were breaking the law and, as an 80-year-old guy, retire and live on Social Security like everyone else?
No, and no. He can do whatever he wants.
So if he made money unlawfully, he should be able to keep that money.
Well, he didn't make money unlawfully. 1% of his holdings made money, some money, a portion of their money unlawfully.
Okay, so
a fraction of a fraction.
Right. Oh, well, that's great logic. Okay, so last week I stuck up a bank and got a big pile of money, but that was only one day out of 365 in the last year. So it was less than 1% of the year.
That's a flawed analogy, Tom. That's a flawed analogy. You said he should give back all his profits predicated on 1% of his holdings doing something illegally. When you rob the bank, 100% of your proceeds were illegally obtained.
On that particular day.
1%.
On that particular day. Well, it's a rhetorical argument. The real, Seton, it's almost a theatrical argument. The real question is, and I would think that you would be as concerned about this as I am. We have learned now that from Margaret Thatcher to John Major to Tony Blair, where Murdoch's loyalties flip parties from basically, to use U.S. analogies, from Republican to Democrat, from Tory to Labor, from Tony Blair to Gordon Brown to now David Cameron. In every single one of these cases, the politician went to Murdoch on bended knee and asked for his blessing, and the politician who got his blessing in every single case won. And we have something very analogous to that with the Republican Party and Fox News here in the United States. And shouldn't this concern us?
Like every Democrat president going on bended knee to the unions and saying, please bless me.
The unions are not a single monolithic organization or a person. Unions are democratic institutions.
They're a multi-headed hydra that has the exact same ideology combined.
No, unions are democratic institutions. This is a kingdom.
They're not democratic institutions.
They certainly are. Their members elect their leaders.
Their members are forced to be members.
That's how you define a democracy. Their members elect their leaders. Not any more or less than you or I are forced to be Americans, Seton.
The members are forced to be members.
No, they're not. They could choose not to work there, or they could choose not to be members in the so-called right to work for less states. That's not the point. What the point is, in any country, should media be so powerful that one guy and one corporation can decide the candidate of a major political party?
Your premise is fundamentally flawed. It's not like he's getting them elected. He's part of the process. They meet with Murdoch on one day, they meet with someone else the next day, they meet with somebody else the following day. This is not just Rupert Murdoch and that's it. You guys like to set up these false straw men monster monoliths like the Koch brothers and Rupert Murdoch and all this. Meanwhile, you've got George Soros, you have the Sandlers.
I wish.
Don't whine and complain about that.
I've never had a penny from George Soros.
Wait a minute. George Soros has spent $7 billion on leftist policies and political groups.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
$7 billion.
Tell me, Seton, do you really mean to say that a Republican candidate, that a Republican candidate who is opposed by Fox News is going to win?
Say what?
Do you really mean to say that a Republican candidate in the United States for national elective office, for the United States Senate, for the House of Representatives in a high-profile district, or for president, is going to succeed if he hasn't been anointed by Sean Hannity and others in the Murdoch empire?
Well, how's a Democrat president going to do? A presidential nominee going to do if Rachel Maddow doesn't like him? It's the same thing.
I don't see Rachel Maddow as a gatekeeper, Seton.
Rachel, it's the same thing.
Nor am I a gatekeeper. There's no gatekeeping mechanism for the Democratic Party.
No, you're picking a right-wing ideologue. I'm picking a left-wing ideologue.
No, I'm talking.
The problem for your side is the left-wing ideologues on MSNBC don't get any ratings. Your problem is the right-wing ideologues and the right-wing commentators on Fox News actually gained an audience.
Fox News is an entire network. We know now from the memo that was released a month or so ago that back in 1971, Roger Ailes, when he was working in the Nixon White House, proposed GOP TV. That's what he's created. I'm not here to defend MSNBC, but let me just make the point that their programming in the morning is a Republican for 3 hours. You know, Joe Scarborough, one of the more conservative and outspoken Republicans in this country.
He's not conservative.
So
he's not conservative, Tom.
Okay, he's not conservative enough for you. But the point is that you've got Rupert Murdoch owning the Wall Street Journal, owning the New York Post, owning Fox News, owning television stations all over this country, Fox programming stations, and Republicans cannot make it to senior office without kissing his feet. That concerns me, and it doesn't concern you. I'm astounded it doesn't concern you.
Tom, you're not a Republican. Why should it concern you?
Because I think, I actually have respect for the Republican Party, Seton. My dad was a Republican his entire life. I remember a Republican Party that had some integrity. I would like to see one again that has integrity. I hope for the day when the Republican Party will have integrity.
Tom, you just saw it yesterday with Cut, Cap, and Balance, the bipartisan approach to addressing the debt problem. Five Democrats joined 225
Democrats voted for it.
Yeah, that's wait a minute. How many Democrats? Wait. Tom, how many Democrats are in the Gang of Six? 3. So we got more Democrats in the House on Cut, Cap, and Balance than we have on the Gang of Six proposal in the Senate.
Okay, and Cut, Cap, and Balance is going to do what? It is going to permanently cap spending at 18% of GDP. And during the Reagan administration, spending never went below 21.3% of GDP. How are we going to do that, Seton?
Because we're going to cut wasteful government programs, unconstitutional government programs.
That Reagan never cut, right?
Well, that's because he was cutting deals with Tip O'Neill. He had to get defense spending, and the way he did it was Tip O'Neill got to increase social spending.
I see. So actually, the reality is that the program passed in the House yesterday, Cap, Cut, and Balance by the Republicans and 6 Democrats, all the Republicans and 6 Democrats, would pretty much require 5 Democrats, thank you, would pretty much require the privatization of Medicare and Social Security, right?
Which is what needs to happen. We're trillions of dollars in debt because the government can't run it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that you think that these programs should be done away with as federal programs. We should do what Pinochet did in Chile. It worked out so well for that country.
Tom, let's look at the programs government runs. Social Security broke. Medicare.
Social Security is not broke. Social Security has a $2.7 trillion surplus.
No, it does not. They have IOUs from the government to the government.
It has a $2.7 trillion surplus. It is a surplus, Seton. It's invested in treasuries. Are you telling me that when George Bush was born with millions of dollars worth of T-bills in his account that he didn't have any money?
That's not the same thing, Tom.
It is the same thing. T-bills are T-bills.
Those things come due, and we don't have the money to pay them.
Seton, actually, if we lifted the cap on Social Security, not only would we have the money forever, we'd have a surplus. Seton Motley, less government. Thank you, Seton.
Thank you, Tom. Always a pleasure.